the HODL review here exclusively on the chain. This is Jeff. Welcome. Glad you guys could join us. Looks like we had Chip bounce in here first, followed by I Kinda Pawn, Wen Mullet, Beth Maiden, James Bush, and we've got Channing Smithson joining us as well. And I know it is super early morning where you're at. So today we are going to get into where do we go from here? XRP delisting from multiple exchanges all over the world. And what is the next step? How do we take it from here? What happens? But I want to dig in a little bit more because on our last video, we got into the case. We talked about SEC versus Ripple. Today, it's really, as we look at the space in general, regardless of this case, we have a little bit of a, of a bump here, like a little bit of a speed bump with the filing of this case by the SEC against Ripple, a little bit of panic, a little bit of FUD, and a little bit of FOMO. Because as we're looking at this space, I'm looking over here at our other screen, we're looking at Fiat Leak right now as we speak, and we're starting to see a little bit of stability breaking into the space. And I think, you know what, I don't want to share it on Chrome, so we are going to switch this over to a different browser so we can block the ads. But as we get into this, it becomes really interesting to see when we achieve a little bit of stability. Again, granted, a definite pullback on the pricing of the XRP. However, also maintaining and achieving a little bit of balance. So here we are sitting at 30 cents on XRP right now. Lots of trades going on. So if you look, and I would have to enlarge the screen here a little bit, but if you can zoom in somehow, you can actually see that we are at about 3.2 million trades in the past minute. Now, there's a little bit of panic setting in, a little bit of FUD, a little bit of fear, uncertainty, and doubt setting in due to the SEC case against Ripple. And when we really dig into it, I was listening to some videos this morning. I said, you know what, I need to look and try to get, a different of opinion. Maybe there's somebody out there that is looking at this approach a little different. So I turned into to Jungle Inc. to see what his perspective was. I went and listened to Crypto Eddie. I wanted to see what her perspective was on what's going on. Everybody has, a positive, feeling about what's going on. I might look at things a little bit differently, but I think this was a needed action, and I believe, Jungle was saying it as well. This wasn't unexpected. This was definitely something that was needed to move forward in the regulatory clarity space, but at the same time, it's not unexpected. And I think Ross is bringing up a good point. We'll address this one in a minute. Because Ross, I think you're bringing up a really, good point when it comes to, can the SEC bring any type of, or can the XRP holder, bring any kind of a class action suit against the SEC? And that is a very, very valid point, depending on the direction of what happens with the digital asset. So as it stands right now, I think we're looking at a point where the digital asset has taken a little bit of a pullback, but it hasn't been crushed. Nothing at this point. Yes, we were sitting at about a week ago at like 60 cents. Now it's pulled back to 30 cents. A few weeks before that, it was sitting at 24 cents. So we've had a lot of fluctuation. We have fluctuation going and maybe even a decoupling of the space right now with Bitcoin touching that $25,000 point, hitting all-time highs. We're starting to see Ethereum, continue to push forward. All the other digital assets seem to be gaining momentum. With that announcement again from the SEC, obviously an XRP investment, there was a pullback on that investment, and we're starting to see an announcement of delistings from other digital asset exchanges. And so that is something to really look into and get a little bit better of an understanding as to what is going on. And Burhold, yeah, I think, yeah, you bring up a good point, and we're going to look at that as well. But yeah, it's not necessarily really a delisting, but no trading for the U.S. customer. So that, right. So they're going to pull this back. There's definitely a rollback. If we look at Bitstamp was the latest announcement stating that they were going to stop trading in the U.S. due to this SEC case. And right now, I believe that things are kind of out in the open. We're not sure what direction things are moving in, other than the fact that there's a lot of trading going on the XRP platform in the U.S. or sorry, on the XRP digital asset. And as we look at the Fiat Leak platform, you can see obviously there's a lot of movement into the U.S. There's a lot of movement as usual in Korea. And then you have a little bit of movement everywhere else. It just seems that we always have a lot of movement in the U.S. and Korea, a lot of trade. So this isn't necessarily buys; these are buys and sells. It's just a lot of activity overall. And I think that this becomes really, really important as we dig into this. So, Devon Steve, here we go. Talking back to when Mullet, but load of crap, this SEC stuff. Yeah. So, all right. So let's get into that. Here we go. Let me kind of wind back a little bit. We got a little bit of a rough start because when I first started talking, we were on mute. But for all those joining us right now, you guys didn't get to see the 1 minute and a half of muted silence as we started this out. Today is Death Wish Day. So I highly recommend, if we are going to get through this stream the right way, you guys grab a cup of espresso, get that coffee, get whatever you need to get through this. Today is Death Wish Day. So I think last weekend might have been Death Wish as well. Yesterday I was also drinking Death Wish, but going between the Coffee Cult, Segfredo, and the Death Wish. This one's really good though. So pretty good. Pretty good. So I started this off. I was really thinking, of a few questions to try to dig in a little bit more in terms of the timing of everything. And, as we look at the timing coming from the SEC, so why now? Why after 7 years? And this is where they're going back 7 years because they're talking about over, it was at $1.3 billion in fundraise, according to the SEC complaint, trying to apply the case to the Howie test. But really, the big complaint is 1.3 billion raised as a fundraise. And again, why now? Why 7 years into it? Why not last year? Why not the year before? Why not bring case against Ripple when the SEC declared Bitcoin and Ethereum currency and not a security? And at this point, they're making the attempt to apply the Howie test and the security test overall to this digital asset in specific at this point. Now, if you look at the differentiator between XRP or Ethereum, you could also make a claim that Ethereum was designed and developed in order to fundraise for the Ethereum platform, for Vitalik, in order to further the interest of the Ethereum platform and the Ethereum concept and, driving the entire, Ethereum rollout. You could probably try to make that case if the SEC is going to make a case that Ripple sold off XRP specifically and only for a fundraise, and then now they're trying to apply it as a security. You kind of enter into a realm where it doesn't really make a lot of sense. And actually, Jungle was bringing up the fact that it was either Jungle or Crypto Eddie kind of blended both those videos together this morning. But if we look at it, they're talking about, expeditious, legal action. Now, again, this is over a period of 7 years. This wasn't expeditious in any way, shape, or form. And also, why is this the action of Jay Clayton as he leaves the SEC? Obviously, Jay Clayton's name didn't appear on the case, and I think Crypto Eddie, she brought up the attorney on the case that signed it. But I really want to look at the timing of all of this, and I think that the timing becomes very, very interesting. So let's see, Ross, he brings up here. Let's see, Jay Clayton has to be responsible for his decision even beyond his departure. Interesting point. What does Chip has to say over here? All good. I'm feeling very optimistic about the outcome of the complaint. Here we go. Ethereum is a foundation, Ripple a company. I don't know if that would make a difference for the SEC. And then that's a great question, Berthold. And that's kind of what I'm alluding to is, does that even make a difference for the SEC? And could they bring an equal concern? But why would a foundation, if a foundation is selling a security without following protocol, the same rules should apply, whether it's a nonprofit or a for-profit. It shouldn't make a difference. You're still doing a fundraise in according to what they're trying to set forth. So here we go. Let's say they want you out from the golden standard when it hits 19,000. I like that. Let's see. So why now? So, and this is what I want to get into a little bit. And I'm seeing some really interesting comments flying through here. So Michael Otto, why now? Because the banks want full control over cryptos. This is about banks and the exchange. And I think you're onto something there. And that's what we want to dig into a little bit. And then we got Silhouette Park Farm. What is going on? We have clarity in Australia. The USA needs to wake up and catch up. There's clarity in other countries, like you said, in Australia and other parts of Europe, not in the US. The UK has acknowledged, XRP as a currency. The US hasn't. What kind of impact will this SEC case have on the global perspective and global investments, into XRP? So, all right, let's see what else we had throw up here. Leo from Brazil, what's going on? SEC is going against the G20 countries that already said XRP is not a security, and even a couple of the USA regulators said XRP is not a security. Exact, good point. So what's the point of this BS from the clown Clayton? So so I'm looking at this, and we look at the timing of it, and Channing brings up a good point. I wonder if Jay's action was actually a positive thing. Maybe he didn't realize it. What's going on? And Chip says, this has been in the works for some time. Obviously, this didn't happen overnight. They're referencing email communications that were requested months ago. I think this is definitely even more than a month, months ago in the planning. Again, we're talking about 7 years. They're going 7 years back, and they're trying to, attach this from 2013. Now, obviously, they can go back as far as they want to go back, and yet now. So why now? What are some of the things happening? Why is the SEC going after XRP right now? Is this an overall attack on the crypto space in general? One of the perspectives that I came up with as I was digging through this, I said, well, you know what? As we move towards regulatory clarity, how do you achieve regulatory clarity if you still have uncertainty? Meaning, you look at Ripple, you look at XRP, you look at some of the other digital assets in the space. You can try to design regulatory clarity, but when you have actual companies out there that might not necessarily fit into your definition of regulatory clarity, because you really haven't dug into the ideas deep enough, potentially, if you're just going to write regulatory clarity for the sake of writing regulatory clarity. But if you really want to brand regulatory clarity the right way, uh, it should be done, through, uh, unfortunately, you have to go after a specific company in order to achieve your regulatory clarity aims, especially when there's still a little bit of uncertainty within the government, within the SEC on how to act. Now, at the very same time, we're not seeing a lot of momentum within the US Congress to get really excited about the digital asset space. For the most part, the digital asset conversation falls on deaf ears when it comes to Congress. And then the question is, why does it keep falling on deaf ears? Why is it that Rashida Tlaib, found it necessary to push through a bill? She presented a bill, it didn't get voted on, right? But why did she feel that it was necessary to present a bill on stable coins and giving the power of the stable coin to the banks? That was just a couple weeks ago. Now, all these other things going on, but you have a singular voice that could detrimentally impact the rollout of digital asset, whether it's a stable coin or not, based on her action, if it was picked up in Congress. But it fell on deaf ears. Why is it that Congress, now for the past couple years, we've seen Warren Davidson and Darren Soto issuing in multiple times now in multiple Congress sessions, issuing their bill for, or presenting their bill for the Token Taxonomy Act, which would provide a lot of incentive and regulatory clarity when it comes to digital asset for the average investor, for the retail investor, for the big financial institutions, by making adjustments to the security acts from, we're talking about like the 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, adjusting the IRS rule, which the last time there was anything adjusted was like 1986. So we're talking about very antiquated language that needs to be adjusted and tweaked slightly to accommodate the digital asset space. Now, one of those tweaks and adjustments when it came to taxation under the Token Taxonomy Act had to be it was in regards to how a digital asset was transferred. So bought and sold. So for every buy and sell within a digital asset space becomes a taxable event. So one of the things that they had presented within the Token Taxonomy Act was to have a buffer. I think that was about, like, it was $600 or $200, something like that, in realized gain to not be taxed on. It was a starting point, a discussion. So, but then again, it falls on deaf ears. So again, why now? Why is the SEC pushing it and furthering a case against Ripple right now, while the digital asset space is kind of blowing up, while Congress, their attention is focused elsewhere? So obviously, we know that that Congress overall is kind of tied up as to whether or not they want to dangle this chump change $600 in front of people. That's where all their attention is. Our elected officials sent to Washington to do the bidding and the will of the people are out there benefiting the lobbyists, self-congratulating themselves, and making an attempt to appease the people by giving them $600 for the destruction of small business and pushing people into unemployment due to the closure of states, cities, etc., over you guys know what. So all of that stuff is going, but this is where their attention is. It's ridiculous. So they issue that 5,000-page bill, put it out there, filled with all sorts of garbage. Had nothing to do with helping the American people. Why do we think that the US Congress at this point in time cares about the retail investor in the cryptocurrency space, because they don't. They don't care about it. They don't want to achieve any kind of normalcy. They don't, their focus is elsewhere. They're beholden to the lobbyists, they're beholden to the banks, they're beholden to whatever lobby organization from whatever big financial institution tells them to do. That's where their money's coming from. Until we enter into a phase that the digital asset exchange lobby group is bigger or equal in size to that of the bank lobbyists, they're probably not going to spend a lot of attention on the major bills in the crypto space until it behooves them, or until there's a real, valid reason from their perspective to actually work. So again, I go back and I say, well, why is the SEC looking at this now? Why, we all knew that at some point the SEC was going to file suit against Ripple. It was just a matter of time over this misunderstanding of whether or not XRP is or isn't a security. Now, in order to achieve true clarity on whether or not XRP is a security or not, you have to go through this court case. Because once this court case is finalized, one way or the other, it's going to then make a determination on every other digital asset in the space, for good or bad. So Ripple has their job to do to present their case. And I believe that the case that they're presenting is extremely strong. And as we dig into it and you look at the release of the XRP, in my opinion, whatever that's worth, I don't think that it meets the Howie test. They don't think it meets the Howie test. I don't believe it's a security. I didn't invest in XRP because I thought I was due some sort of a reward for the profit or loss of Ripple as a company. I look at it as a project. We look at it as, a digital asset that was probably one of the it's in the top categories of digital assets that has the opportunity to actually be part of the growth of the digital asset space as things progress into the future. Yeah, I mean, no different than Bitcoin or Ethereum or a whole host of other digital assets that are out there. That, why are they growing in value anyways? I mean, you look at it, why is Bitcoin 25,000? What's the Bitcoin use case? Is it you being used right now as currency for buy and sell of product? I mean, I guess you could. There's still the expense of it. There's still the time delay of the Bitcoin. Can it, why Ethereum? Why is Ethereum all of a sudden going, up to close to $700 now? How about Litecoin? Why is Litecoin all of a sudden going over $100? What's the valid reason for the digital asset space to be growing, other than there's an identification globally that digital assets are here to stay and digital asset investment is the future? Otherwise, why would these financial institutions at this point in time be getting into it? Why would MicroStrategy, as an example, and maybe that's a bad example, you guys can make up your own decision. Why is he close to now putting $1 billion into Bitcoin? I don't know. I mean, I think those guys are pretty intelligent. They see the direction of this space. But why? I mean, and then it comes back to XRP. Why is XRP sitting here at 30 cents right now? Overall, XRP has shown itself to have little volatility. It hits a point and it creates a lot of stability within a longer period of time. Now, if you look at foreign currency fluctuates in value. The foreign currencies that have a lot of volatility, you don't really like to invest in those foreign currencies. The foreign currencies that have little volatility, like the US dollar, is used as a reserve currency, is used as a trade currency. And for the most part, over the years, the world has been very accustomed to accepting the US dollar. The British pound, very little volatility, typically very strong. Euro, typically low volatility. People are comfortable trading in and pricing on the pound, the euro, the dollar. The Indian rupee, extremely volatile. I'm not going to price out a product in rupees. Makes no sense. Even over in India, when they're doing trade, they're not going to, request pricing in rupees. They can do their own conversion, but their currency is extremely volatile. Now, I bring all that up because it's important when you look at XRP to see a product that has very low volatility overall. And so it becomes very important to the overall concept of and significance of the use case of XRP, which is used right now in the remittance payment space, and for Ripple identifying XRP as the currency for ODL, for on-demand liquidity. The XRP ledger has a lot of interesting technology built into it that has to do with the movement of currency. And it becomes really interesting as we look at what's going on globally right now, as there's a push towards this digital asset economy, this digital currency economy, where every country now is looking at central bank digital currencies. Japan is getting a lot closer. China just obviously went through their testing. They were actually rolling it out in real time. Was it the Bahamas has the sand dollar? The Bahamas or Bermuda? I think it's the Bahamas, or it might be Bermuda. You've got country after country after country, the Marshall Islands testing out. So small countries, large countries. I was reading about another country that's moving their entire economy over to BSV. It's interesting, right? But this is the move, that this is where everything is directed right now. So we know that there's value in the digital asset space. The question is, does every digital asset in the space have value? Does every digital asset in the space meet the needed guidelines of regulation? And so when I look at this personally, I look and I say, okay, the SEC, by filing case against Ripple, is actually filing a case against crypto. Now, we don't live in some vacuum where the United States is all by itself, and what happens in the other countries doesn't bear any significance, because it bears a lot of significance. What happens in Australia, like SPF was saying, there's regulatory clarity over there. They understand XRP in Australia. There's multiple exchange companies that are in Australia that are providing cross-border payments utilizing XRP. Australia, in many ways, seems a little bit further ahead in the game. The UK is a little bit further ahead. Japan is a little bit further ahead. Many other countries are further ahead in the digital asset space in creating this regulatory normalcy of digital asset, whereas the US, we have a Congress that's tied up, that's tripping over themselves with, to be more stupid in regards to, their feedback on the crypto space than the other one. So you have a handful of people like Warren Davidson and Tom Emmer and Darren Soto and many others that understand the significance of what it means to not have regulatory clarity in the United States, the impact that it's going to have on this country financially to not provide that regulatory clarity. So again, the question is, why now? Why is the SEC going after the crypto space and Ripple right now? You go back to it, you can't create regulatory clarity when you have cases sitting in the dockets that bear uncertainty before you bring regulatory clarity? It just doesn't make any sense to do it that way, in my opinion. So I believe that at this point in time, it's important, not to say they're doing it for good or bad or whatever. I don't know, if the SEC has what if they have an ulterior motive, pro or con. I'm just saying now is the right time for it. You bring Ripple in front of the world, just like they did with in the Howie case. They brought suit against this orange farmer, and they've used that case ever since 1946. It's a super easy case to understand, but that's the case they've used to compare every other company to when it comes to whether or not you're issuing a security without abiding by the right law. So now at this point in time, to bring true regulatory clarity, you have the perfect example. You have Ripple, the company, utilizing a digital asset that's baked into their on-demand liquidity, that's being used for cross-border payment, remittance payments, that's going to is revolutionizing, and will change the flow of money between countries. So then you have to go back again and say, why now? So anyhow, let me go to, I've been ranting on for a while. You guys have been commenting, and I've missed some of your great comments here. We've got 124 on the stream right now. If you guys are brand new to On the Chain, brand new to the Auto Review, make sure you take a look at that subscribe button, because it's really easy to find. You can hit that subscribe button and then hit that little bell notifier, because I know if I don't hit it, I don't get notified of the videos I like to watch. So make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell notifier, and then you'll be notified every time we put up a video. And also, if you're enjoying the video, hit a thumbs up. You guys have tons and tons of great comments over here. I see Bless Cruz right on point here. The court case is necessary for regulatory clarity. Even David Schwartz made this clear years ago. Exactly. See that? Exactly to the point on how important it is. Channing Smithson, court case is essential. We needed someone to pull the trigger. SEC going after Chris and Brad by naming it, is interesting. Why are they singling it out personally? I don't know. That's kind of crazy too. But Ross, none of those currencies that I was mentioning before are a threat. It's all about maintaining control and old money and keeping it. That's another great point. It's another way of looking at it. So if we look at the ulterior motive, going back to, Congress, who supports their interest? Again, it's the lobbyists. It's the old money. So as the old money wants to maintain its control of the old money, and they see that their grasp is slipping on future money, you need to put the brakes on a little bit as well. So let's scroll down here. Let's see. Here we go. Michael, here's a good one. The exchanges are panicking while the banks are buying it up. Jamie Dimon, moved Jay Clayton's wife works for JP Morgan. Another interesting point. Real King Ryan, do you guys think this court case will be over soon? That's hard to say. It could be a very clear-cut case. It could be done, if Ripple's presenting the right way. There's definitely some significant need for it. But we'll see. That's going to be interesting as it progresses. Leo brings up another great point. We're waiting for this fight, and here it is. Now we have it. We've wanted regulatory clarity. I know on our channel we talk about the significance and importance of regulatory clarity in this space in order for it to grow. I'm very narrowly focused on the U.S. because we're here in the U.S. Our regulatory clarity in the U.S. will have impact on what happens in other countries around the world, because that's inevitable. The U.S. has a lot to say when it comes to global banking. That's just how it is. We have to accept that as a fact, no matter what country you're in. However, digital asset is a global phenomenon that isn't necessarily impacted by the US 100%. Now, if the US provides regulatory clarity and makes a determination that XRP is not a security, what do you think is going to happen to the price point of the XRP? Is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? Is it going to maintain its stability? What's going to happen to it? If you look at this map on Fiat Leak as an example, where are most of the trades right now as we speak at this time of day, 8:40 a.m. on a Saturday? Korea's 12 or 13 hours ahead of us. So it's like, it's a quarter to 9, quarter to 10 over in Korea. And you see, a slowdown, but you're really the majority of the trades between the US and Korea. You see some stuff going into Europe. Where are the majority of the trades right now? What's the impact of regulatory clarity going to be on XRP, and what is it going to be globally? How is it going to impact every other digital asset? It's a really interesting thing to think about. Let's see. Leo says, we didn't want it to be like this, but they want us to fight, and we will. So here we go. All right. So here's another one I thought was pretty good here. Ross, other countries are hungry and want to change because they will benefit from the change. The US is fat and lazy, and will try to keep the control. It's exactly it. I mean, what a great point. The US did get fat and lazy. The bankers, those that are holding the interests of the old money, are 100% fat and lazy. Why? Because they can afford to be fat and lazy. They control everything. They control the purse strings. So it's a really good point. Through regulatory clarity, we can definitely see a big impact on the markets as a whole. Chip says here, much of the complaint has to do with Larson and Garlinghouse selling unregistered securities to raise capital. Yep. So, so here we are. So here we sit, and we're looking at the SEC. Why now? Now is the opportune moment in time to create clarity. Again, not understanding the full scope of the idea behind this as to doing it at this exact moment. Brian Brooks is the acting office of the currency comptroller. Brian Brooks is very for OCC, very crypto friendly. We're starting to see more crypto friendly conversation. Even at the SEC level, they've identified, at least they provided some sort of a semblance of understanding on Bitcoin and Ethereum. However, you're starting to see financial institutions buying into Bitcoin. So why is the SEC going after XRP, the third largest, with the biggest use case right now, while big financial institutions and you see a lot of big money plays going into Bitcoin? These big financial institutions can't really move properly into XRP without having a direct understanding of this security issue. It has to be off the docket. You need everything clean before moving forward towards regulatory clarity. It's going to be difficult. Now, we're starting to see a delisting or an unlisting, or whatever we want to refer to it as. I believe if you pull a digital asset that I'm investing in off your exchange, where I can no longer buy it on your exchange, it's a delisting. Can you put it back up? Yes. So whatever the right terminology is, I might be using the wrong terminology. Bitstamp is no longer going to allow sales of XRP to US customers based on what the SEC has said. Coinbase, uncertainty. Coinbase is trying to go through an IPO. Will that have an impact on whether or not the SEC allows the full scope, allows their timeline of the IPO? It probably is going to have an impact. Possibly Coinbase will have to make a decision. There's a little bit of uncertainty right now in this space, and that's going to be interesting to see the dynamics of it in the short term. What exactly happens? What does that mean for a digital asset holder of XRP if the digital asset exchange that you happen to have your digital asset on is no longer allowing you to buy any longer? You can't buy it, you can't sell it, but you need to be able to move it. They have no authority over your digital asset. So if it's being held in a cold storage on their wallet or whatever, you still need to be able to have access to the asset that you have and move it wherever you want to move it. They can't take that away. They can potentially stop the buys and sells. They can't take away, they can decide maybe they're not going to allow, the custody by, they're not going to allow you as a US citizen to hold this digital asset on their exchange. That's possible. Hence, the ledger becomes very important. I'm interested to see what Alex Mashinsky is going to say on this from Celsius. I'm really interested to see what Uphold is going to say about this. I'm interested to see what Coinbase has to say about this. I don't really care what Binance does. I don't really care what Bitstamp does. I care about the bigger US-based exchanges that trade in XRP. I don't really care what BitTrue decides to do. Not so relevant to me. But I do want to know what those bigger exchanges, because those are the ones that are going to have a bigger impact on what happens in the US space as it comes to the digital asset in the short term. So, as we move through this, it becomes a very important time and timing that this case is being presented right now. I mean, to me, at the moment where the world is going through some major, economic conversation, establishing normalcy and regulatory clarity in the US right now is extremely meaningful. Once they solidify in this case, and very possibly, they're trying to get this case done before January 20th. I don't know. I mean, maybe it'll continue on. I don't know. I don't know if this has any impact with the the things that are going on here from a presidential perspective. We'll see how if that has any way, shape, or form with this. I don't know. Obviously, the weeks as they unfold will tell. We do know, though, a few weeks ago, Brian Brooks said there will be regulatory clarity within, he was, assessing 6 weeks. And that was from like 2 weeks ago. So at some point, second, third, maybe end of January, we're expected to see some sort of regulatory clarity. Maybe this was a big part of that agenda. We'll see, how fast they can get in court to actually go through this. I think it's interesting. So, again, it's going to be amazing. I mean, could you imagine, for good or bad, Ripple and XRP will go down in history as the case to set the tone for the digital asset space in the United States. It's going to be the test. Is it going to necessarily be the solo test? It is going to be one of the more important tests to judge all other digital assets moving forward. Mr. Bigman brings up a good point. Coinbase wants to become a bank. Uphold wants to become a bank. The banks want some sort of control over the digital asset space. But the digital asset exchanges don't want to give the banks any of that control. So I think it's again, the timing of this is very, very interesting that it's happening right now as everything's coming to a pinnacle around the world, you have, again, countries that are looking at their central bank digital currencies, their digital currencies. In the US, they tried to push through the digital dollar incorrectly, naively, and with a little bit of an underhanded agenda of manipulation and control of the people with that digital dollar that was crushed. It didn't even see the light of day, thank God. But they tried. This is coming from the same committee that Maxine Waters chairs, and Maxine Waters refers to Bitcoin as Bitcom. They don't know. She doesn't know. She doesn't know how to tweet. She doesn't know how to text. She doesn't know a Facebook from a YouTube. And yet these are the people that are making decisions about cryptocurrency normalcy in Congress. So you push this over to the SEC. Very interesting, because again, like Mr. Bigman saying, Coinbase wants to become a bank. The banks want to get into the digital asset space. It's just difficult. And you definitely can't do this without regulatory clarity. So what's most important, though, is that we're already seeing these digital asset exchanges in banking. They're just not banks. They're not classified as banks. They're not officially banks. But if you can go to a digital asset exchange and buy a digital asset and hold it there, it's almost like a bank. If you can go to a digital asset exchange and buy a digital asset and hold it on the digital asset exchange and earn an interest, it's a lot closer to a bank. Now, if you can go to that same digital asset exchange and you can borrow money, paying interest, potentially staking your digital asset or not, it's almost a bank. What's the difference between a bank and a digital asset exchange? If you're earning interest, you can borrow, you can hold your money there, you can almost confidently hold your money there, but not really yet, but it could get there. They're backed by third-party insurance. They're backed by a third-party audit. What's the major difference at that point? So there's so much that's going on right now. It's amazing. Moon Lambo here, he brought up, there's no way that the Howie test could have predicted virtual currencies. Yes, Ripple will set a new precedent. In 1946, when they were talking about an orange grove and this individual, selling parcels of land on his orange grove to investors, saying, don't worry, you'll never have to pick an orange in your life. You'll never even have to see the orange grove. But when I bring the oranges to market, you're going to benefit from profit for the sales. And he did that without filing the proper whatever, through the SEC to deem his sale as a security, hence the Howie test. So no, there's no way they would have predicted that. Citizen XRP. There's been rumblings of class action lawsuits against the SEC for their seemingly willful lack of clarity. So that's interesting. To me, you can bring a class action lawsuit if there's damages. Are there damages, realized damages yet? I don't know that there are realized damages. I mean, to me, even if you bought, think about if in 2017, 2018, you bought XRP when it was $3. And now a few weeks ago it was 24 cents. Went up to 60, now it's back to 30. Is there cause at this point for a class action lawsuit against the SEC? For what purpose at this point? I mean, I'm not 100% seeing it. I'm not saying that it's not a valid case. I don't know. I'm not an attorney. But just from my observation of it, I don't see that there's a case brewing yet. Now, if the SEC willfully destroys Ripple, the company, and the digital asset XRP through this action, and they push an agenda item that makes absolutely no sense. And then the timing of it, you could say, hey, why wait 7 years? And now you press your case, and now you go after and destroy XRP, and now you go after and you try to destroy Ripple, the company. Maybe then at that point, when when there's actual realized potential losses, at this point, I don't see it. I don't know why there would be a class action lawsuit, especially since there's no decision at this point. There's nothing. I would rather see it unfold and see what happens than even try to make any kind of decision, because we don't know what the motivation was as to why the SEC is filing suit right now. They've had 7 years. They could have done it when it was in its infancy. They could have done it a year after. They could have done it 5 years ago. They could have done it 3 years ago. They could have done it a year ago. Why wait until right now when the digital asset space is gaining global attention at the highest levels of government and the highest levels in the banking and financial institution industries, so to speak? Why now? Why is it that, the banks are slow to act on the adoption of the ODL and the buying and selling of XRP globally in the US? Is it possible that they're intimidated due to a lack of regulatory clarity that something could happen to Ripple or XRP, the token that's utilized in the ODL? Now, if you set the stake, you put it through the case, you create an outcome, it becomes very clear and obvious of what it is, everything changes. Now, I don't know what could happen. Let's say they do deem it a security. I don't know what the end result is at that point, because if it is a security, doesn't necessarily mean XRP goes away. Doesn't even mean that Ripple goes away. They pay their penalty, their fine, whatever it might be. And the financial institutions, they apply, they get their secure, whatever they do, I don't know. All of a sudden, the financial institutions own XRP. I don't know if that's the outcome. I have no idea. But I mean, there's so many ways to look at it. It's crazy. One mullet, banks and FDIC can't back up their deposits either. It's very true. Thomas, I hold a significant amount of XRP in my Roth, so that's already been approved. Now they're going to totally screw me out of my retirement. I don't think so. There's so much involved in it right now, man. I just think, if they go after this could have some detrimental impact on everything. It's crazy what's going to happen. They could really crush the digital asset space. I don't believe that the SEC wants to crush the space. I don't think the SEC gives a crap about the retail investor either. But I don't believe that they want to crush the space. They have an ulterior motive, and we'll see what happens. But there's some interesting comments here. Michael, XRP banned in the US will only make it more valuable around the world. That's an interesting point. And then it'll resurface and resist in 5 years, so it will be financially out of reach for the US citizens. Man, I see something along those lines. If that's the case, if they deem it a security, the rest of the world, again, we were saying that this digital assets are global phenomena. It doesn't matter exactly what's happening in the US market per se, because the rest of the world has identified digital assets as valuable, as here to stay. I've kept this fiat leak up. I don't know why. I've kept it up, but you can see trades constantly going. Europe, you've got Korea going, you've got Australia going, you've got Japan going, you've got other countries going. It's a global phenomenon. I mean, it's not just here in the US. So, and then you've got this. Then you've got Bitcoin. It hit an all-time high over 25,000. Now it's hovering right there in that $25,000 space. In September, Bitcoin was at 10,000. Why is Bitcoin at 25,000? You know, I mean, think about it. It goes back to the beginning. I know we've been on for an hour. Lots of amazing, amazing, you know, a lot of amazing conversation here with you guys. You guys are awesome. You guys are absolutely awesome. Here's an interesting one. Where'd it go? Oh, here we go. Benno XRP. Tomorrow's my 3rd anniversary. Broke my knee so I could research crypto. Best thing ever. There you go. There is a positive spin on things. Yep. Given the tribalism and unbiased jury selection exactly. Yeah, there's so much that has to go on to see how this all unfolds. Michael, no problem for Ripple. This is what they wanted. That sums up everything. Michael, you like hit it right on the head. Ripple wanted regulatory clarity. Ripple has documented, presented. Everything has been very transparent. Every move, every sale, everything they've done from day one till today has been documented the proper way, from a legal perspective, from a whatever you want perspective, in their financial reporting. Everything has been very, very clear. Bitcoin, not so clear. Who created Bitcoin? Nobody knows. Who controls the majority of the mining interest of Bitcoin? China. Who controls the majority of the mining interest of Ethereum? You could say China. Who controls the majority interest in the building of retail miner equipment? China. I don't know. You know, just some food for thought. Just some food for thought. I'm not saying anything bad or not. I just think it's interesting. You know, just something to think about, you know, while we're going through this. Scarcity of XRP. Scarcity of the Bitcoin. This will definitely create some interesting conversation as we move forward. Celsius will be available in 2021 for U.S. Investors, possibly January 9th. Celsius, are you talking about the Cell token? Or Celsius is a different token? Is Celsius the .network with a Cell token? Then there's a Celsius token. I don't know if that's what you're referring to, but yeah, okay. Let's see here. Man, so much stuff. You guys are awesome. There's a ton of conversation going through here. This is awesome. So you guys are fantastic. So check this out. Yeah, I got this. This was a great conversation. Cell token, semi-life. Yeah, Cell token. That's a good Cell token. Last thought on this, and then I got to run. But the Cell token, man, that one, when Chip and I had Alex Mashinsky on the first time, 38 cents. What was I thinking not getting into the Cell token at that point? I ended up getting into it. It is almost at $4 right now. I believe that Cell token is going double digits, 10, 20, 30, $40. I think it is. The Binance token sitting at over $30 right now. Why shouldn't Cell be in that same spot based on lots of crazy stuff going on? But anyhow, for all those on, we have 226 people in the stream right now. I highly recommend, if you're new to this channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notifier. We stream 3 times a week as our standard. So Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the Hodl Review. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is Sunday, we are going to have Channing Smithson on with us again. I think we're probably going to end up talking a lot about XRP, but we are going to get into Flare, the Flare network, Flare Finance, and a lot of the other DeFi of Flare. But I have a feeling we're going to dig into this case even further because it just seems to be the topic of the day. So Chip and I with Channing on tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Sunday. And then we also stream every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have another channel. You can find the description below. Short videos. There's a lot going on. Keep coming back to this channel. Everyone here, you guys are awesome. Appreciate it, Tony. You're fantastic. The one thing that I wanted to say, not 100% sure, I think it's all magic. That's for Tony Fisk. So anyhow, you guys are fantastic. I'll check you guys out. We'll see you on the next one. Let's see if I can find our way out of here. And I'm out. See ya.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.